Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 152 of the Holding Court podcast. Today, I'm joined by actress, mom of two, director, podcast host, and current contestant on this season of Dancing with the Stars, Danielle Fishel. We'll talk about how she got into acting, why she thinks Boy Meets World still resonates with fans after all these years, and we'll give some of our thoughts on the pairs still going for that Mirrorball trophy. All coming up right now on Holding Court.
Bum 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 bum.
Hello.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
I know. How are you doing?
I'm doing, it's been quite a change of life over the last week. I went from, dancing and truly dancing a minimum of 4 hours, maximum of like 8 hours a day, 7 days a week since the end of August to last week, just cold turkey, just no dance, no rehearsal, nothing. And on the one hand, it's been kind of nice because I've been able to be full-time mom mode, and also catching up on sleep. I didn't realize how tired I was.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping like a log.
7 days a week, no weekends then. Nothing.
No weekends, no days off. When you first start, and there's the 3 prep weeks that you get before your first dance, they make you take a mandatory day off every 7 days. And so they're like, today's your mandatory day off day. And then once the season starts, so as of September 16th, there are no more days off. My last day off before I was eliminated was September 13th.
Yeah. That warrants a long nap, hibernation.
Yes, exactly. That's basically what happened. I've been sleeping well at night. Yesterday, I took a nap. The kids were like sitting on the couch watching a movie. And I was like, guys, I'm just going to sleep here right next to you. Cuddle with me if you want, but mama's taking a nap.
I love that. We're in Chicago still, and it is snowing here. So you would take a fat nap in this weather. There is no motivation happening over here at all.
Oh yeah, it's hard. I can only imagine. I mean, as a California girl, I can't actually imagine how much that lends itself to just. I feel like all I would do is eat chili and nap.
Oh yeah, I've already had a crock pot chili going. So
oh yeah,
we're in
that sounds
mode
good.
over here. Well, I have to take everyone back. We actually met ish during a podcast episode you and your husband had during COVID, which was a wild time. And we bonded over a few things. We bonded over our mutual love of CHLA. And
Yes.
we found out that you and Justin are both Cal State Fullerton alums. Very proud.
Yes.
And we were mourning the loss of our beloved soup plantation.
So sad. Our last date before the pandemic was to soup plantation. And then I've heard rumors that it's coming back.
So
and then
it's back. But
is it?
There's only one, and it's going to require us to get in the car or on a plane to Tucson.
Arizona.
It is, I think they're in year 2 and it's all the same recipes. I think they bought everything, and the best part is they have merch for the holidays. So if we can't get there by Christmas, we can bring it home with a crew neck.
Wow. Honestly, all I'm hearing is that this feels like a really great road trip podcast opportunity for the 4 of us. We can bring the kids, but we need to meet in Tucson.
Yes.
For a double family date at Soup Plantation because it's not that far. I mean, and you guys are going to be making your way back.
Yeah. Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It seems, I mean, it could be a whole other podcast. I know that between the 2 of us, we have many over the years. So this could be a perfect addition.
A little side quest, if you will.
Yeah. Before we open our own franchise in the Los Angeles area.
Which I'm also super on board for.
You need to fill your time now.
Exactly. I have nothing but time. And now I'm looking for new businesses. So
but time, which is their favorite little pun that they have. So
yes.
It's on the crew neck. So don't worry.
I can't wait.
I can't wait that news to you. I know you heard the rumblings of the
I
of one
did. I
real.
heard the rumblings, but I also heard it was like coming back to Southern California, maybe with a different name. Maybe they were going to name all of them Sweet Tomatoes because
So the one
that's
in Tucson is Sweet Tomatoes.
it
So I
is
don't
a
know if
Sweet
they didn't
Tomatoes.
buy the full rights or because it was always like a
Mm,
sub. It was Soup
yeah.
Plantation by Sweet Tomato. I don't know what it was, but it was always like a sub name, right? It was there.
I don't know. I didn't see it on ours. I didn't see Sweet Tomatoes anywhere. I thought it was regional. Like in some parts of the country, it was called Sweet Tomatoes. And in
Okay.
other parts of the country, it was called Soup Plantation. So I thought they were kind of under the same umbrella. I wonder how many people are listening to this and are thinking this is the quality content that like does anyone else care as much about Soup Plantation and Sweet Tomatoes as we do you think?
I think so. And it's like the
Yeah.
Carl's Hardee's, like the regional name. I think it's similar to that, depending on
Okay,
where
I
you're at.
think you're
No,
right.
I think this might be the part that gets the most feedback.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think people are riveted.
And
And
people do
we're
want
going to start a whole new feed just for this conversation. And so we'll see. We'll see how many people are committed.
yeah, meet us in Tucson. We'll
Meet us in
be
Tucson. Let's have a party.
do it. Let's do it. Okay. Enough about Soup Plantation.
I don't know.
Um,
Maybe more.
well, clearly we both love nostalgia, so I'm gonna turn
Uh-huh.
back the clock and take us back to the beginning, your career as an actress, your iconic role on Boy Meets World as Topanga. I need to hear how this all started and yeah, how you got into it, how you landed that role.
So I started acting when I was 10, and it was really one of those very kind of stereotypical stories you heard from back in that day, which was like my mom and I would be at the park and people would come up to us and say, "You really need to get her into acting." And has she ever been on TV? And my mom was always kind of like, "No, no." And we didn't know the first thing about that. No one in our family was in the entertainment industry. And then in elementary school, there was a girl who was like a year older than me, maybe 2 years older than me, and I thought she was just the coolest girl ever. She was smart, and she was athletic, and she was tall, and she was beautiful, and one day she came to school and she was like, "Guess what, everybody? I'm gonna be a model. I got an agent." And
Barbara
that was
Gunn
it.
found you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it. That's all I needed to know. That's what I wanted to do. So I went home that day and told my mom and dad at dinner, "Everyone, I need to get an agent. I'm going to be a model." And my mom very kindly said, "You are too short to be a model. You will never be a model. You're a small child and we are a small family and that's models are very tall." And I was like,
Not in
"Oh,
the card.
yeah, by the way, it made sense to me. I was like, "Got it. All right. A requirement I don't have." So I went back to school the next day and she was like, "Did you tell your parents that you wanted to get an agent?" And I said, "Yeah, but they said I'm too short to be a model." And she said, "Oh, that is true." And then she said, "Well, I'm also going to be on TV. I don't think you need to be tall to be on TV." And that was it. I hounded my parents for a year. "You don't have to be tall to be on TV. Please let me get an agent." And they didn't know the first thing about it. My mom ended up buying one of those books that was essentially like how to get your kid on TV if you're a dummy, something along those lines. And in that book, there was a list of agents and their addresses. And it was like send pictures to these people and tell them that you're interested in this. And so we did that. And then I heard back from a few agencies. We met with all of them that we heard from. And then we chose to sign with one. And I started auditioning right away, but I started auditioning for mostly commercials, which
Mhm.
I had a lot of luck with. I was booking commercials because I was a bubbly, energetic kid, which is when you think about commercials for kids, it's like they all look like they're hopped up on sugar.
Uh-huh.
I was naturally hopped up on sugar. And so I was booking a lot of those. And then I started getting auditions for TV, but I had never taken like a real acting class. I had only taken commercial workshop classes. But I booked an episode of Full House and then I did another episode of Full House. And then the audition for Topanga came around and I was 12 at this point. So I had been doing it for 2 years and had done, a quite a few commercials and those 2 episodes of Full House and 1 episode of Harry and the Hendersons. And the audition for Topanga came around and she was very obviously a flower child. And but I didn't know what that meant and I didn't know that they wanted her to speak slowly. I just went in there and read Topanga's lines the same way Danielle would have read them. And I
Yeah.
did not get a call back. I did not book the role. Somebody else did. And but I did get an audition for the same episode playing a different character, and I booked that one. And I went to that first day and I saw the girl that they had cast as Topanga, and she was doing it so differently than anything I could have possibly imagined. And it was great. It was slow and it was thoughtful and it was just totally different. And I had that feeling of like, oh, that's what acting is. I don't have to be me. I can be somebody else. And by the time that first day of rehearsal was over, for whatever reason, they had decided to let her go. And she was no longer going to have the role. And they said, well, we could do an entirely new casting and bring in all new girls to audition for this role, or we could start with these two girls over here that are already on the episode playing different characters, and we could ask them to audition for it. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. Because I had been watching the director work with her all day, and I just felt like I had a better understanding of what they were looking for. And I went in, I did the audition, did not think I got it, cried the whole way home, and then found out I did get it. And I showed up on Monday as the character, and it ended up turning into 7 years of a job.
That is wild. You learned
Isn't that a
acting
crazy story?
in a day. And that was
Exactly. I learned acting for that one character in a day.
Do you the girl that was let go, do you know who it is?
Yeah,
And
her name's Bonnie Morgan. She's an extremely talented contortionist. Her family is legendary. They do all kinds of like circus performances, and her dad is like a magician and a ring. I mean, they are very like a legendary family. I don't know. May I take it back? I don't think her dad's a magician. But maybe
I wish
I'm
it
trying to
was.
remember exactly. I know. They have an incredible family story, a true like legendary Hollywood family. And we actually had her on our podcast because it was one of those things where you look back over the course of your life and you realize my story is that someone was let go and I then ended up landing the job and the role of a lifetime. And on the other side of that, somebody's life story is I was cast as this role and then replaced and had to watch what happened for the next 7 years for the person who replaced me, and then how that has then transcended into, 30 plus years of talking about this show and this character and then doing Girl Meets World. And so I really wanted to talk with her and hear what her perspective was and what her story was. And it was actually, I think it was really healing for both of us to have that conversation and to talk and to share our perspectives. And I really wanted to know, like, has it hurt her over the years when I've told the story about there was another girl and then she was let go and then I replaced you? And um, I think she was very honest and she said, yeah, that has been difficult. It's just been difficult over my life to like every time that's in the news or every time you're in the news to be reminded of this time from when she was a child that didn't
Yeah.
go the way she wanted it to.
Yeah. Wow. I'm glad that's really cool though that you've had that conversation because I feel like I would think about that a lot,
Yeah.
quite a bit. And you
Yeah.
cried going home thinking you didn't get the role, and that was just you didn't it's not like you watched how it played out. It was just
Yeah.
something you wanted that day, and it affected you.
Exactly. Totally.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned you were 12 when it started and went through you were 19. Those are some important years. So
They're
what
really formative. Yes.
years, great word. What was you grew up on set essentially with other
Yeah.
people your age. So what was that experience like? And I can't imagine going through high school. I mean, going through high school already is one
Yeah.
thing. And then going through it while doing a show that's wildly popular had to have been an
Yeah.
experience.
It was, but it was honestly, they're some of my favorite years of my life. Like when I started the show, I was in 6th grade and I had just moved to Calabasas. And so I was like a new kid at school, but everybody was new. But unlike for a lot of the kids, they had known each other at their different elementary schools. And so at least they knew somebody. I was brand new, didn't know a single person. And then I was like leaving for weeks at a time to go film a TV show. And the show wasn't like enormously popular the minute it was on the air. So it's not like everyone was like, oh, wow, she's on this huge show. It's just like, where does this girl go? And why does she then pop back into my class? Because I'm really happy my family and I made this choice, but we made the decision that I was not going to be homeschooled throughout the seasons of the show. I was going to go back to my regular school during our hiatus weeks, which meant I got to still have a pretty active school social life and got to be involved with my teachers and got to know my teachers and take a lot of the tests on campus. And our seasons wrapped in March, so from March to June I was always there full time. Like I was there every single day. And then from September through March I would for those first couple of seasons I wasn't in every episode, so I'd get to be there for a few weeks at a time and then I'd leave and go do a show. And there was definitely some like, oh, look at Princess. She's back. Where did you get to go? Because nobody knows when you're 12, nobody knows that I'm actually still doing school on set and also working a full-time job. They just think must be nice to not have to be in school. So there was a little bit of teasing and antagonism in those first couple of years, but nothing major. Like I was definitely not bullied by any stretch of the imagination. And so there was a little bit of that. But then by the time I made it to high school, it was just old news. It was like I had already been on the show for 3 years. People knew who I was. It wasn't a big deal. We had other actors at my school. I wasn't the only one. So that was helpful. And I got to still really participate. I got to go to every football game. I got to go to every school dance. I was, in the yearbook, in the superlatives. Like I people knew me and I knew them. And so I felt like I had a really healthy balance of being able to be a child actor who was on a successful show, doing something I loved every single day on set, and then also at least 1 week out of every month being able to put that aside and go back into my regular school and flirt with boys in the hallway and write notes and, talk about clothes with my girlfriends. And I'm sure there was some learning in there, but I didn't care about that in high school. So the things I really remember are the social aspects.
Yeah. No, I think that's rare that you got to have really the best of both worlds and check
It is
both
rare.
boxes and not miss out on the important milestones, because I feel like that does happen a lot. It's not the same thing, but I feel like in baseball, if I think of like the baseball kids and if their family chooses to follow dad, they're out of school a ton. And I hear so much of the teachers hate us. The teacher says we can't miss this, and playoffs, they're missing, big things, but they're like, we can't sign them out anymore. We can't do this anymore. So it is really, it was an impressive balance that you were able to do both and still be fully invested on both sides, or as much as you could at least.
I will also give credit to my school because, like you're saying, we had to work it out with the school. It was like, what's going to work for you guys and also for us? So if I'm going to stay on their curriculum, the teachers need to know exactly what's happening, maybe at least a week or two in advance. And then we would, like, our system for the first several years was every Monday morning, we would go to the nurse's office and all the teachers. So this is asking a lot of them, but the teachers would put together that week's curriculum and leave it in a sealed manila envelope because they didn't want me to have access to it. My mom would pick it up at the nurse's office, and then I would have to bring it from the nurse's office directly to my teachers on set for them to open. And then they would dole it out for me. But that required like a full-blown meeting at the beginning of the school year. So here's the situation. Danielle's an actor. She's on the show. We want to stay on the curriculum. She'll be back full-time in March. She'll be here 1 week out of every month. It wasn't easy. And everyone kind of had to work together in order to allow me to do this. So it's difficult. And like you're talking about with baseball kids, you don't know, you can't predict playoffs at the beginning of the year, but those conversations are once it's out in the open, it's like you'd be surprised how many people are willing to help you and work with you, but it does need to be an explicit conversation.
Yeah, I think it totally depends. I think I would have guilt that so many people were working to ensure that I had an education and that that it went well for me.
And then it went well. I know.
Matter that much, you guys. Like I could skip this whole school thing. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't though. Even though like even though the school aspect of it, like, I did not take my education super seriously through high school. I really just wanted to do the bare minimum to get by, and without having to work super hard, I was able to get a couple of A's, mostly B's, and an occasional C, and I was like, "If I don't have to work that hard and I can do this, I'm just gonna stick with that." Like, if I really wanted to work hard, I could probably get straight A's, but why? But why? Like, this is fine. That was my general attitude. And then I don't know if Topanga rubbed off on me or what exactly happened, but by the time I went to college later in life, I was 27 when I went to college, that had all completely gone out the window. And I was obsessed with being the best student I could possibly be. But then I was going to school for something I loved and I chose and really cared about, which is a little different than, the mass general education we're all supposed to get in junior high and high school.
Yeah, I went to college a little later, and I feel like the appreciation for it was so much greater. And so
Yes.
I feel like you were getting the life experiences through your job, but I feel like taking that time, I don't if I would have went straight through, the focus would have not been there. Again, like priorities were different as like a teenage girl. And then to go in and
100%.
excited to learn and picking classes and a major that you care about, I feel like made such a difference. So,
World of a difference for me too. What did you major in?
psychology.
Me too. That's right. We talked about this, I think. Another thing we bond over. Yeah.
Yeah. Took some business and marketing classes and ended up working in event marketing, and now through our foundation, a lot of event marketing, that kind of a brain. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was just such a deeper appreciation of every I don't know, just the learning. You can't replace the learning of the couple years after high school from figuring everything out. Like mine was moving across the country and working on my own and figuring it all out. Like that was the real learning that I did. So
Yes, exactly. That like joke about the university of life actually
yeah.
has like real world application that is, in my
Yeah.
opinion, super helpful and can't be replaced with anything else.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. At the time you mentioned the show was starting to build up, but you could have never guessed that it would be decades later, still resonating with people, still having such a huge following. Why do you think that happened with this show in particular?
I think, 90s television, 90s sitcoms are one of the like last remnants of a time when we all felt safe, whether or not we had any reason to feel safe or not, we did. And I think those shows are so comforting in the sense that you know exactly what you're going to get when you sit down in front of one. You go, in the next 22 minutes, I'm going to see characters I relate to, go on a journey I relate to, and in the most responsible way, they are going to learn a lesson, and there's going to be a moral at the end of it that's going to make me feel good and give me a sense of control over my own life. And I'm going to find myself in some of the characters, find my friends in some of the characters, and hopefully find some of my family in it, in those characters. But if my family doesn't actually look like any of them on the TV, they're going to feel like a surrogate family for me. And so for a lot of people, we hear that like the show raised them. They didn't have parents that were as responsible or loving or caring as Amy and Alan Matthews. They didn't have a best friend that was as loyal as Corey or Sean. They didn't have a girlfriend that loved them unconditionally like a Topanga or an Angela. So a lot of people found and took comfort in those characters and brought them into their own lives. And then for the other half of people that watched the show, they're like, that was exactly what my life was like. And it was nice to see it played out on screen because it made me feel less alone.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it everyone was watching the same shows back then too. There's
Correct.
so
The
much.
monoculture. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like I speak about it with this and friends, it would say everyone would go to school the next day and it was, oh my gosh, everyone was talking about what happened on that episode. So there was just
Yes.
more focus on those couple of shows that we all loved. So I think that
Yeah.
played into it too.
We didn't
For
have
sure.
as many choices. We didn't have as many choices, and when you watch the show too, and you're like, you see that occasionally there are jokes that you're like, oh, those were for that's a joke or a guest star for the grandparents who were watching, and then you hear something else, and you're like, oh, that's a joke for the adults who were, the middle aged people who were watching, and then there's very young jokes, and you're like, oh, for the kids, and you realize because we all used to have to watch the same thing.
Yeah.
And they wanted to entertain everybody. And so the idea of like every episode needing to appeal to a mass amount of people versus like now everything can just be very catered to
Mhm.
very specific niche markets.
Everyone's on their own screen now in some families. So it's like, oh, they're watching
Correct.
this, watching that. And back then it was everyone gathering around on the couch and watching the
Yeah.
same show. So it is that
Yeah.
nostalgia and that comfort. And I love that. And it was all wrapped up with a bow by the end of the episode.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, you've kept it going. You mentioned your podcast earlier of Pod Meets World. And how did that come to be? You've done it for 3 years now, and it's
Yeah.
very popular and people are loving
Yes.
it. How did that come to be? How'd you decide that you wanted to take the official stroll down memory lane with that?
Yeah, so we had been doing conventions together, Ryder, Will, myself, and Ben Savage. We had been doing conventions together, and there's always a Q&A when you do a convention. And we would sit down behind a table or on a couch, and fans would come up and ask us questions. And then at the end of the night, we would all go to dinner, just the four of us, and we'd sit there and we'd have these really great conversations and strolls down memory lane and bring things up to each other like, do you remember? And then we'd get to hear like, oh, that's what you thought that was, or oh, like we'd realize we all had different perspectives on things, or one of us would have information the other person didn't know. And Ryder said in like 2018, before any rewatch podcast had even been on the air, or before anything had existed with rewatch podcasts, Ryder said, I really think if we sat down and recorded these conversations, there would be people who would really want, like, this is the kind of stuff that they don't know the questions to ask in the Q&A to get to these kinds of conversations. And it was like, yeah, that is interesting. I wonder what we could do. And then we started talking about like, Ryder had never seen any of the episodes of Boy Meets World. He had watched like maybe part of the first season when he was a kid and then didn't like watching himself, and so never watched it again. So he had never even seen the show. And so people come up to him and talk to him about, remember the episode? And he's like, not really, it was 30 plus years ago and I've never seen it since. And then Will and I had not really watched it since it was on in the 90s, with the exception of a handful of episodes that we would catch. Like I had seen the Kourt episode, I had seen the Scream episode, I had seen a few episodes either when they pop up on TV in reruns or because we would do other events around them. We started talking about, what if we watched the episode? Well, how would that work? We can't play the episode. We can't so would people have to pause? Would we just tell them what to do? And we just started like hashing it out. And we took a couple of meetings. And then in the meantime, I ended up having Adler. I was pregnant. Then Adler was born, and he was born premature. And so we were in and out of the hospital for the first 6 months of his life. And all of these things just kind of came up. And then the pandemic happened in 2020. And by that time, the Office Ladies had come out, and they were doing a rewatch podcast. And it was like, oh, well, there's the format. We can just look, they're not watching it. They're just telling people what the episode is, and then they're walking through it. We could take a similar idea and come up with our own format and do something similar. And we had a meeting with iHeart. Loved them. They totally got it right off the bat. They were like, we get this. And are you willing to bet on yourselves? And we were like, we absolutely are. We had no idea it would be as popular as it was, but we did hope that there would be a significant amount of people that would care. And so, yeah, we launched in June of 2022. And now I think we are at around 50 million downloads.
Wow.
So we love it. It has been the most rewarding. It has been just the most rewarding experience to, for one thing, fall in love with the show the same way every fan of Boy Meets World fell in love with the show. We finally get it. When people come up to us and they're like, man, this show meant everything to me. And we're like, I get it now. As opposed to thinking like, wonder Wonder why the show's so popular. We get it. It's just so good.
Yeah. What's been your favorite episode or guest that you've had on?
Oh man, we've had so many great guests. Some of my favorites have been, we had our prop master David Glazer on, and he was able to come on and talk to everybody about what goes on behind the scenes of making the props. He sent us all props that he still had from the show. I have one of the mugs that we used in the student union during the college seasons. We have, I love that stuff. My favorite part of the podcast is being able to introduce the audience to the people who work so hard behind the scenes, putting together all the little, quote unquote, little elements that actually ultimately make the show. The quality
Yeah.
of the props, the detail it put into them, that kind of stuff makes an episode. And very few people even know what prop masters do. So being able to, meet with our costume designer and talk to her about how she picked the outfits and what went into it and what some of her favorite outfits are. And also our writers, writers also are hugely important into the quality of a show. Some might even argue the most important aspect of a show is the quality of the writing. And yet they very rarely get a ton of credit. So being able to interview them, talk to them about what the collaborative process is like in the writer's room. Finding Dusty, our very favorite background actor that we all remembered so well. And he is basically off the grid for social media. And the minute we saw him, we were like, Dusty, we've got to find Dusty. And our fans went on a hunt and ended up finding him, sending him to us. And then we were worried, like, man, is he going to be mad? He didn't want to be found. No, he was thrilled being able to have him being reunited with everyone. We've done a Pod Meets World barbecue where anybody who had been, it was like halfway through the seasons, anybody we had on the show up to that point, we invited to Writer's House and we did a big get together. We're going to do another one when we finish season 7, which we're about to start in January, our 7th and final season. So yeah, that's been the best.
That's so cool to pull back the curtain. I love the background acting because I watch it.
Yeah.
And everything is so intentional. And you think, oh, it's just everyone's, doing their own thing. And it is so precise, so intentional, and props.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
It's really cool. It's good. It's so interesting to just hear. Also, like when we were on the show as kids, we didn't ever think about any of that stuff. Like they work literally through the night to build the sets. So like Tuesday night or Thursday night, we would have a tape night. And then on Friday, we would come in and brand new sets would be there. And never once did we think, wow, that's crazy. These people worked from like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. building this. We'd just be like, I guess the magical elves. Like we would just walk and the set would be there and it would be like, yep, it's a new day. It's a new week. Here's our new set. And now, of course, as adults who still work in the entertainment industry as directors and whatever, we've realized like, wow, we took all of that for granted. So being able to shine a light on those people is so rewarding.
Yeah, to give them their flowers and notice all the little things along the way. I love that. No, that's really cool. Congrats. It's so, nostalgia. It's the best.
It is the best.
What's the thing you hear the most from fans? Is there something when someone comes up to you at one of these conventions or events, or even just on social media? What's the thing you hear over and over again?
The thing I hear the most is how important Topanga was in the lives of young women. That she was one of the first super strong young role models that was on TV, that she was comfortable marching to the beat of her own drum, that she didn't conform to a lot of the standards placed on girls and women, certainly not in those first couple of seasons. Like one thing I hear all the time that is just such a funny line that you don't realize means so much to people, but there's an episode where Corey says, "You're going to be one of those girls who doesn't shave her legs, aren't you?" And her response was, "I haven't decided yet." And like that idea that a girl at 12 is able to articulate and recognize that she has a choice in that it isn't just that well, of course, because women shave their legs and girls, so therefore that's what you're going to do. That she says, that's up for me to decide. Those
Yeah.
kinds of things you don't realize are so important for representation for kids, that like, and that's the thing that means the most to me as far as being Topanga, is that I love how many girls and women grew up hearing those lines or thinking of those moments as that character and thinking, I can do that too. I can be that too. And it's okay that I'm the way that I am, because look at her. She did it too. That is the most meaningful, and as far as my career goes, like the biggest gift I could have ever been given, because, Topanga could have been a totally different character, and I wouldn't have the goodwill that I feel like sometimes has just been handed to me because I played such a wonderful character. It's like people love me, and I go, well, really, you love Topanga, and who wouldn't love Topanga? Like, what a gift to play that character.
Yeah. And that's why the podcast is so cool, because to be able to go back, because in the moment you say that line, and do you really think what it's going to mean to young women watching it, or years later, how it's going to resonate with them or how it affected them? But through the podcast and rewatching it, everyone realizing how much she actually meant to people watching. I think that's the coolest part. So makes it all
Yeah,
worth
it
it.
is. It's really nice, and we joke because for for everyone listening, it's a show they grew up watching. And for us, it's a show we grew up helping to create, but also they are like home movies for us. Even though they're scripted,
Mhm.
we watch the episode and we can remember, oh, I was going through a really hard time that week. I was going through I had a big crush, and something was happening. Or for Ryder, like, oh, I had a bad breakup that week. Or, like, they they are snapshots and clips of also our real lives. It's like, and so being able to kind of go through all of that, and for Ryder and I especially, who spent a lot of time in our 20s and early 30s really pushing away from it, like really trying to be like, I'm more than just this TV show, and I need to distance myself. To be able to do the opposite and to really like embrace it and fall in love with it, and unpack the memories, unpack the experiences, and look at them and embrace them, has been like the best therapy anyone could pay for, and we haven't had to pay for it. So
Yeah.
that's been great.
Yeah. So I would ask, I feel like you hear actresses and actors speak about, being frustrated over being, I don't know, like remembered for a certain role or typecast. For you, it doesn't seem like that's a negative aspect of your career for everyone to,
Absolutely
except
not.
during voting when
Absolutely
they
not.
accidentally vote for Topanga instead of Danielle.
Exactly. And I love it. I really do. I love it. I feel like, you know, any actor or any person who works in a field where you are, um, someone has to pick you. Someone has to pick you for this job, and you are then in there, and they're saying like, you have to maintain this, otherwise I will replace you. I will replace you with somebody else that can do what you do, especially in front of like a massive stage. America has to like you. You have to make it in this way. All any of us want is to do something to be remembered. I want to do something that makes an impact on somebody. I want to do something that makes people say, wow, I love that. I feel seen in that. And so the fact that the first ever major job I was given was a role that still 30 plus years later, people can talk about, and sometimes even don't remember the name of the show, but they'll go, oh, the show with Topanga? What? Like, people work their entire lives to just get one episode or one movie where they do that, and I got to do 7 seasons of it and have been able to talk about it and appreciate it with people for 30 years. There's no world where you could convince me that's not a win and that I should actually be bothered by that. I love it. And maybe if Topanga was a character that was like evil or really hateable. And so all the interactions I had with people were people being mean to me. Maybe I'd feel differently. Maybe I'd be like, oh my gosh, please, please remember me for something other than this character that you seem to hate. But the people I get to interact with and the people who come up to me are always coming up to me telling me how much Topanga meant to them, how much Boy Meets World meant to them. And it's just the most warm, cuddly feeling ever. So I have no complaints.
Yeah, you got lucky with a good character. You never
I really did.
wronged anyone or
No.
there's roles where actors will say people will come up to them and they're mad at them for breaking someone's heart or doing something in a movie, and they have to remind them, "That was not me. That was
Yeah.
my
I mean,
character."
that did happen to me as a teenager. There was a time I was walking at Universal City Walk with my real life boyfriend, and it was around the time that Topanga had moved to Pittsburgh. And so it was like in between, I think, episode the two-parter where Topanga comes back. And I
Yeah.
was holding the hand of my real life boyfriend walking through Universal City Walk, and there was a kid in front of us who kept turning around and kind of shooting us dirty looks. And I was like, what is going on? And then after like the fourth one, I kind of like tugged on my boyfriend. I was like, this guy is like really shooting us dirty looks. And sure enough, the guy stops on a dime and spins around. And he looks at me and he's like, what do you think you're doing? And I was like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand. And he was like, where's Corey? And I was like,
You.
oh, I was like, oh, okay.
Mm.
This is I'm Danielle. I'm not Topanga right now. I'm Danielle. This is my boyfriend, and Corey that's a TV show, and that episode will air next week, and you'll see what happens. But it was,
Yeah.
and then they were a little like, oh, right, I get it. But yeah, that did happen occasionally.
Oh my gosh. This is real life, and let's
Uh-huh.
separate that. No, that's perfect. Well, we talked a little in the beginning about
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars. The
Yeah.
coolest thing, I am living through you. I'm like like want Justin to like throw his hat in the ring in retirement just so I can
Yes.
like live through someone else. But you were cast for the 34th season of Dancing with the
Mhm.
Stars. Last week, unfortunately, was your last week in the competition, but
Yeah.
um need to hear how that came to be. Was that your easiest yes? Have they asked you before? Like, how did that come about?
Yes. So I have been asked multiple times over the 20 years of the show, and it was definitely something I always knew I wanted to do eventually. It was, there were multiple different reasons why over the years it didn't work out for that time. And when I first started season 34, when they asked me again and I said, yes, 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 I want to do it. It just felt really right. And at first, when I started the rehearsal process and I fell in love with it so quickly, I thought, man, my only regret is that I wish I had said yes sooner. But very quickly, it was very like, immediately in my head was like, no, 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 no. You wouldn't be having this amazing of an experience if I had done it ever. This was just, it was the perfect time in my life. It was the
Mhm.
perfect time for so many reasons. You know, I had breast cancer last year, and thankfully I'm all clear. I had two surgeries, I had 20 days of radiation, and then I took a couple of months to like really heal cuz radiation like really wiped me out. And it just was the most eye-opening experience in a way that was, for one thing, I'm so lucky that the cancer I had was caught so early and was, as far as cancer goes, easily treatable. Two surgeries and radiation is about, almost as easy as it gets when you're talking about treating cancer. And still not easy. There is no easy cancer. But what it pointed out to me was, thank God this isn't the time when I'm going to find out I'm, terminally ill. But what if it was? What if the news I got was not you have stage 0 cancer, but you have stage 4, an untreatable cancer? Like it could have just as easily been that. And I realized very quickly that like all my type A checking boxes, accomplishing things, filling my days with accomplishing tasks and all of that was not going to be the thing I looked back on and went, wow, I'm so glad I always checked everything off my list. I'm so happy, especially when that list isn't filled with things that are like, make sure you find time today for joy, find time for fun. They're all menial, nonsensical. Of course, they're things that need to get done, but like not really. And I place a lot of importance for whatever reason on stuff that just isn't that important. There's like something in my brain that tells me making sure my house is perfectly organized at all times is a very worthwhile thing. And it's just not. It just
Yeah.
isn't. And I wish I was better at that. So it made me realize this year I want to kickstart healthier habits that involve prioritizing things that just are fun and that are challenging for me and that are things that I could look back on and say, I am so glad I spent X weeks doing that. I'm so glad I threw myself into that experience. So when Dancing with the Stars came around, it was like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. And I had the time of my life. Just I'm so I want Justin to do it so badly. You guys you'll love it. You'll love every single aspect of it.
I feel like you had, and you could see like such a transformative journey and just such an appreciation. And I feel like you wore your heart on your sleeve in everything, where I felt like I was almost in your body, feeling your emotions, like watching reactions to certain things. Um, yeah. What do you think was the most challenging? Like it was that emotional part of it to put I know you had the leg injury. I can't even need to like reshare this. That was like beyond, like even showing Justin that like took him and he's went through his share of bruises through the years, but
Yeah.
yeah, was it more the emotional part and like digging deep on that side or the physical aspect or both?
A little bit of both. I mean, I think the hardest part of it is that it's you want to listen to everybody, because when you have zero dance experience, you have zero experience. You can't be like, listen, I know what I'm doing, I'm just going to listen to my own instincts. You have to listen to others. And
Mm.
Pasha is the world's greatest coach and teacher, and I absolutely 110% trust him implicitly with everything. He's one person I wanted to listen to, and he would teach me, all about the choreography, and he would teach me, but like when you're working 4 hours a day and you're trying to learn that many steps and a new dance every single week, there are some things that like we just don't have time to talk about. And so I would then read a comment that would be like, okay, she needs to have more emotion on her face. And I'd think, ooh, that's a good note. I need to show more emotion on my face instead of being in my head, like where I'm counting steps or, counting, because I learned to count. And so that's how I would help remember my steps. It'd be like, one, okay, I do this on a 4 and I do this on a 6 and we do this on an 8. And then on the next one, it's this. And so I'd sometimes be in my head and be like, okay, I feel like those first several weeks when everything was very smiley and very Danielle, it was like there was tons of emotion on my face. But then when it was time to change that, and it was, Carrie Ann told me all my dances looked the same. Then we did the Argentine tango, and what I was told is that this is like a very sultry, but also a very serious dance. And it was Wicked Night. So, but then it was like, well, that's now just one look on your face. You need to adjust more on your face. And so you're like, okay, I meant more than just, okay, mental note. And then it's like, well, we need you to take up more space on the floor. And it's like, okay, so now I have to start. It's like you start to have so many things in your mind and so many things on your plate. And you realize like, oh, I think I'm trying to make everyone happy all the time. And you're never going to make everyone happy all
Or
the time.
anything, any aspect of
No,
life.
no matter what we're talking about, you're never going to do it. And so I think the hardest part is sometimes like quieting the noise and really just focusing on your experience, and also recognizing that there are sometimes unrealistic expectations placed on people who are contestants on a reality TV show with zero dance experience by people who are probably sitting on a couch watching TV with also no dance experience, who, if they were put into the situation, might not be able to do it at all.
Oh, yeah.
But and you guys know what that's like when, people have their opinions and they are entitled to their opinions. Not letting those opinions get to you is sometimes the real challenge.
I always say those that can't do tweet, which now it's X.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
easy when you're on your couch eating dinner and saying, "Oh my gosh, they missed that one," and all that.
Yeah.
But you're in it, you
Yeah.
get it. And
The
especially
Monday morning quarterbacking.
oh yeah, on a show where it's based on, votes and appealing to people, you kind of want to take those into consideration because you
Of
want
course.
the votes. You want someone to see, oh, she implemented this week and she improved in this way. Okay, she's earned
Yeah.
my vote, especially the judges too. You want them to say, oh, we noticed that you made this tweak and we acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And that's why we're giving you this score. But you handled it really well. But again, like I felt like I was there with you because just watching your face and like there's no hiding, you can tell
Yeah.
when someone's taking something a certain way. And so I think it was just really fun to watch you and
Thank
I
you.
see how you're sad that it's over but what a journey, honestly. Like I
Absolutely, what a journey. I would not change a thing. As sad as I am that it's over, I also am totally at peace. Like it's one of those situations, like I knew for sure what I was signing up for when I signed up for it. And there is a little bit of when you throw yourself into it week after week as wholeheartedly and there was not a single aspect of my mind, body, or soul that was not 100% into Dancing with the Stars. When you do that, you forget that a lot of it's completely out of your control, that there's no amount of dedication or energy or time that you can put into it that ultimately is going to change the circumstances. It's still a reality TV show, a lot of which is out of my control. I don't get to pick the theme weeks. I don't get to even fully pick the songs that I'm choosing. And therefore, because the songs and the theme weeks will dictate then what the dance is. Because, like, you can't just do any dance to any song. You can't be like, oh, I'd do an Argentine tango to that. It's like, well, no, you can't. The way the song is set up, it would have to be a jive. So, like,
yeah.
you can plan as much as you want, but ultimately, sometimes over the course of a night, all of the dances might have a certain feel, and then yours is the one oddball feeling. And on the one hand, you think, well, maybe that's good. It'll help it stand out. And then it ends
Yeah.
up being like, you know what? That just felt out of place. And I didn't end up liking it as much as all the rest of the dances. So there's so much of it that's out of your control. And I was not going to win Dancing with the Stars this season. Let's be honest. Like the competition on this show this year, and I have been a fan of Dancing with the Stars since its inception. I haven't watched every season, but I have seen a lot. The competition this year is just through the roof, and for a lot of different reasons. And um as much as I felt like I was really proud of my 44-year-old mom of two body for being able to handle all of that stuff, my cancer medication definitely put me at a disadvantage. We talked about that bruise that I had, and I snapped a
Mhm.
hamstring and a tendon. And I then had a deep tissue massage because I didn't know I had snapped a tendon because I have a high pain tolerance. So I went and had somebody for 80 minutes dig their elbow into my snapped tendon, and it broke all the blood vessels in my leg. And then with gravity and with continuing to dance on it, it just traveled down my leg. So it went from like just one big, huge, solid bruise in my upper thigh to then spreading, and it looked like I had a flesh-eating disease, and it was then in my knees. And what happens when you hurt yourself like that is that your body fills with fluid. It becomes very inflamed. It's trying to heal. And one of the side effects of my medication is one, easy to bruise, and two, water retention. And so my thigh and my knee and my calf was legitimately twice the size it was supposed to be for weeks on end. And the week that it was really bad was the week I was supposed to do my cha-cha, and I couldn't, it's all about straight knees, and I couldn't even feel my kneecap. I couldn't feel if my leg was straight because my kneecap was just like floating in a bunch of
I'm
fluid.
telling you to go straight, but I don't know if it is. So
Yeah, I think it's straight, but I don't know. And so, there were definitely aspects of that, but I also didn't know that. Like going into it, I didn't know, oh, I have to be careful about bruising. I
yeah.
truly didn't even want to know a bunch of the side effects of my cancer medication because I didn't want them in my head where then I was going to be looking for them.
Oh,
So
it's like
I
Googling
was just
thing, and you're like, well, I think I do have that, and yeah, my head does hurt. This, yeah,
That's exactly right. I told my doctor, I was like, listen, I need you to tell me of the things that like could potentially kill me so that if one of them is like calf pain, could be a blood clot, I want you to tell me that. But I don't
like
want to know like I'll just find out what they are as I go through life and deal with them. And water retention, I knew right away. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I am retaining so much water." That started the minute I started taking it. And then the bruising I did not know until this happened. And then I was like, "Why would I bruise this easily?" And they were like, it's your meds. But anyway, I wouldn't change a single thing. I would not change a single thing. It was the journey of a lifetime. I'm so proud of it. I already went back. I'm going back on Tuesday for the 20th anniversary. Jensen and I are going to be in the audience to watch, and I'm rooting for everybody. I've talked to everybody since I've left. The relationships that you make on this show are unlike anything else.
yeah, I love that. Why do you think this season has been? It has to. I don't know the rating specifics, but I feel like this is one of the bigger ones that I've watched in the past few years. And on
It is
TikTok,
for sure.
it exploded this year. Why do you think this cast or this season is doing so well?
A couple of things. Well, one, I think some of the pros, the younger pros that they brought on, like Riley and Ezra and they come with a really young, very dedicated fan base. So
Yeah.
I think Dancing with the Stars used to feel like a show our grandparents liked. Like 20 years ago, my grandparents loved Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
And then now it's like your grandparents probably still love it, but also your 17-year-old niece is obsessed and knows everything about it. So I think it's just appealing to a much broader fan base now. And they've catered to that a little bit by bringing in social media personalities like Alex Earl, who comes with a huge fan base, and Robert Irwin, who isn't a social media influencer, but has a huge, very young and older fan base. He kind of runs the gamut.
Yeah.
And then reality TV stars, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives women, Jen Affleck and Whitney Levitt, they obviously are huge on TikTok.
Yeah.
And so bringing in those people has really brought in those eyes. And it just, yeah, it's exploded. I think there are people who are like, this show's been on for 20 years and I've never even heard of it or I've never paid attention to it before, but are now starting to get into it.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to get to kick back and just watch it.
I know. I'm not going to be able to rest. I'll tell you that much. First of all, I'm still way too invested in everybody's journey, and I every time you're on the ballroom floor, the way the song starts for us is there's clicks depending on the beat of the song. It's usually 4 clicks. Sometimes there's 6 clicks, but it's like click, 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 click. That should be my new alarm clock. Nothing makes me go. Yeah, nothing makes me go, what am I supposed to be doing faster than hearing the clicks before the song starts? So I think every time I'm watching, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, the clicks, I have PTSD. But it's gonna be really fun to watch.
It's like the dog starting to throw up at the foot of the bed. Like that's my sound that just gets me out of
Same.
bed. Yeah, that's it
Dog,
now.
cat, yep. Absolutely. Who do you think is gonna win? Who are you rooting for?
Oh my gosh, I love Elaine.
Elaine's great.
I think Alex though. I don't know. I don't know. I would ask you the same thing, but I don't want you to like.
I know it's hard for me to say who I think
Who
is
are
going
you
to win.
voting for? Are you allowed to vote?
Oh yeah, I'm allowed to vote. I'm honestly that's the hard part. There's a part of me that goes, well, I can't vote because then I would have to vote for everybody. And if I vote for everybody, isn't that kind of canceling it out? Shouldn't I then just vote for nobody? But I will say I can't even hide it. I am going to for sure be voting for Dylan and Danny because Dylan and I have been extremely close since day one on this show. And obviously, Danny is Pasha's wife. And Danny and Pasha are two best friends that I now have that I will know for the rest of my life. And so, of course, I would love to continue to support them. But I have a feeling I'll probably still end up voting for absolutely everybody
I love
because
that.
I
Dylan
just
had
love
quite
them.
a year with Traitors, and like I didn't even know he existed, truthfully. And
I know.
I saw the cast of Traitors. I'm a huge Traitors fan. I'm thinking,
Mhm.
that's an interesting choice. And then I loved him, and all of
Yeah.
my friends loved him, and we were rooting for him the whole way. And then
Yeah.
now he's here and has had, like yourself, an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's hard to, you can't root against him. He's the best.
No, you can't. He's everything you think he is and more in real life, which is exactly the same thing I say about Robert, who I also love, is was the other
Oh,
person that
how do we choose?
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's so hard. And so you like, okay, you don't have to tell me if you're voting for other people, but like you're voting for Elaine, you love Elaine, but you think possibly Alex is going to win. That's what that's where you if you had to have like a crystal ball, you think
Yeah,
Alex will end up being the mirror ball winner.
I do. I do.
Okay. Her her journey, because by the way, she started as a great dancer. But I
Yes.
told her in a text the other day to see how far she has come, where she already started so great, has been unbelievable. And I feel similarly about Jordan because Jordan started off on a little bit of a rocky start. And
Yeah.
now to see where she is, like to watch that, her Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Tina Turner night,
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
it was
Had me rolling down the
spectacular. Yeah, I feel like that was absolutely worthy of 4 tens, the same way I feel like Alex's was worthy of 4 tens, and, Flava
She
Flav
kind of got
agrees.
4 tens, but
Oh my gosh, Flava Flav.
it was like the voting in Florida, it was just like you pressed the wrong thing or the hanging chad or
Exactly,
something.
the hanging chads. Oh gosh, PTS, don't remind me of the hanging
I
chads.
just aged myself at least 20 years by referencing that, so
I'm so glad I got the reference, yes.
I knew you would. All right. Well, before I let you go, let's do some quick rapid fire if you're good with it.
Okay, yes.
Song that instantly boosts your mood.
A song that instantly boosts my mood. Anything by Sabrina Carpenter. I would say House Tour.
Ooh, it's a good one. A
Mhm.
beauty tip or a hack?
Beauty tip or hack? Gosh, I feel like okay,
Good.
Vaseline. Vaseline's the only thing you need on your face, around your eyes. You don't need eye creams. You don't need any of the real expensive stuff. Just Vaseline, slug occasionally, a couple times a week. I actually put Vaseline on my eyes every night, and
That
that's
was my
what you
mom.
need.
She always had the tub right there, the blue lid.
There you go. It's and I bet your mom looks great, doesn't
She
she?
she does.
Yeah.
What is your unspoken chore in the house? That, like, there was never, like, a discussion, but it's like you just do it, and maybe hit me with your husband's too.
Okay, absolutely, my husband's is the trash.
Yeah,
If the
that's
trash is even remotely full, that's on you, and the other one he has is changing the giant jug of water. When the Arrowhead bottle is empty, that's you. That giant thing has to be taken care of by him. My unspoken rule is the grocery shopping. The keeping the house stocked with all the things that we need for both the kids and ourselves. And then if we're having a party, making sure that like the grocery shopping is done for that.
Are you an in-person shopper or you do the Instacart?
I'm an Instacart shopper.
So your job is
Yeah.
you have a
My
remote
job
role.
is my job is picking up my cell phone, knowing what we have and what we need and where to
Hey,
get it. Yeah,
there's logistics involved. I get it.
exactly.
Your guilty pleasure fast food.
McDonald's, a double cheeseburger, french fries, and a vanilla milkshake. That's just
Mm,
my favorite.
girl after my heart. Dream podcast guest. Let's manifest here.
Dream podcast guest. Right now, my dream podcast guest is Robert Irwin. I wanna I
I feel like
wanna yeah.
happen.
I could maybe make that happen. But I don't know. He's a little busy.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
maybe when the show's over, I could get him. Also Amy Poehler. Oh, I love
Mm.
her.
I was on a flight with her, and
Yeah.
she loves my son, and I didn't even bother to fan out or ask for a photo, but I just hold it in my heart. She was a
Oh,
gem. And I
that is
feel like
so
I should have shot my shot and been like, "Hey,
you
podcaster,
definitely should
local
have.
podcaster."
Also, did you get
Using
a
my
picture of her with your son?
No, but she wanted him like, she was like, "I have a redhead," like, he's obviously much older now, but they had a connection, and I
They
feel like
really
I could have
bonded.
used him, and yeah, I didn't,
Yeah.
and she's gone, and then it was too late, but I think
Mhm.
of her
I bet
all the
I bet you
time.
could reach out. I bet you could reach out and send a
Her
picture of your son.
little
Remember
phone.
him?
Remember this guy?
Remember
Yeah.
him? He wants to have you on his podcast.
Yes. I'm not above that at all, so
Do it.
okay, show you are binge watching. Now that you have time, you can
I
get back on.
know. I need to get back into watching Traitors. I had started watching it when right before Dancing with the Stars started because I knew I was, gonna be with Dylan. And I only got through like the first 2 episodes before my life became so crazy I didn't have time to watch anything. So I'm gonna get back into Traitors.
On
Also,
this season, the one that ended a few months
the
ago.
one that just ended exactly. And
You
so I
are
know the
going
new ones.
a jaw on the floor. I think it's the second to last episode. Let me know. I'll go
I'm
through.
gonna I'm gonna start it. And I think the new season comes out in January, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We're getting
Yeah. So
like
I need
Donna,
to be caught up.
we're getting everyone getting like
Mark
Dorinda
Ballas.
on. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I am
that's what I'm saying. I gotta catch up.
I'm obsessed. I love that show. If you ever get a
How many
chance.
seasons? This was the third that just ended, right?
But the first one was at like civilians, just regular people mixed
Oh,
in. And then I think the second season was the full celebrity cast. And then so this will be the fourth season, I'm pretty sure.
okay.
I didn't watch the
Okay.
first one, but I feel like I should go back
Yeah.
and do
I
it.
mean, maybe I heard that they're doing another one of just non-celebrities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Okay.
it. I need it. Okay, well, that is going to do it for today's episode. A friendly reminder to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And how can they find you on Instagram and TikTok?
I am at Danielle Fishel on Instagram and I am at Danielle Fishel 8 on TikTok.
Who has your handle on TikTok? Can we get that for you?
I I'm not sure, and it does feel like maybe I should be able to have that.
Yeah, we're gonna reach out. We'll talk to customer service. Well,
I'd like to
thanks for
speak to the
listening.
manager.
Well, thanks for joining me, and thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bum 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 bum.